Pastafarian, it means schizophrenic age. It is Tuesday, the 15th day of October, which is the middling day of October.
Yes.
I cannot even believe that we're in the back half of October almost. Cripes.
I know, I saw that and it was like, ouch.
What happened? Where did it all go? Filthy Films is here, Meridian Hines is here, the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, or the Flying Spaghetti Monster of Latter-day Pirates is here. Cisco Perea is here. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. Generally, Tuesdays are our slow show, so it's nice to see people here in the beginning. So anyway, yeah, I'm Schizophrenic Mitch. This is Joe Lareau.
Hello.
We're here in Safe Word Studios. We are doing the radio show here like we do every day. We practically every day, or practically every other day. I think effectively every other day we do this. And the reason that we do this is so that anyone who has questions about Pastafarianism can come in and have a conversation about it. And we as Pastafarians can sort of think about how we can promote the ideas of Pastafarianism.
Yeah,
so,
a community
yeah,
of sorts.
Yeah, so a daily radio show on the subject of Pastafarianism. I'm your host, Schizophrenic Mitch. I've been an ordained ministrone in the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster since May of 16. And I think soon after that I began a local cult here in Denver, Colorado. And so, you know, I'm a prophet and a shaman and a guru, and if you need sort of life advice, being like, hey, here's my spiritual question,
Right.
what do I do? Pretty much I'm going to tell you, just think about it yourself and let us know what you do, and then we'll just criticize you if we think you're doing it wrong. Yeah, free Shelley Miscavige. I assume the wife of I think Shelley is the wife of that guy, yeah. David Miscavige.
Yeah.
I think it's Miscavige. I think it's been Americanized a little. Yeah, she's vanished. And we keep getting letters purporting to be from her, being like, oh, I'm fine. No, I think the cops went and checked. I think if we can trust the cops, they went and checked. And so I think it's more like she's in this contract of like, just shut up and you're out, right? She's like, I just want out. And they're like, cool, you can get out if you just shut up and you never talk to anyone again. And she's like, that's what I want. And so she signed something. That's what I think happened. And so as far as like a free Shelley Miscavige idea, it's like a free Kesha idea, you know, like Kesha's in a contract with her manager who raped her, and so the manager still has her on contract, so she can't really do other stuff, and she's like, I really don't want to work for my rapist anymore, and so she's just fucked, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, free Kesha is sort of that idea. I, Less Than 3 Trolling, is also here. What's up? Everybody's here. Hey.
Hi.
Sorry, everybody. I didn't think that anybody was going to be here. I thought it was just going to be a Tuesday show. I started early, in fact. Generally, I don't start for another 30-ish minutes because of how we're going to go into town and do some more chores. It's Tuesday. Maybe I'll go talk to Jack Phillips. Maybe he's chilling in his thing there if we've got a minute. I don't know. We'll see what I can get away with my producer. I've got my camera charging right here. After our successful video from last week, which is doing well. It's got like 100 and the Cincinnati Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monsters.
Wow.
Like everyone is here.
Hello.
Let's go through the list and see who else is going to show up. Good gracious! I wish that I had prepared something now. Goodness gracious! I was just going to ramble and smoke marijuana and talk about shit. But before we do that. I'm going to take my prescription medications. I don't know if you people take prescription medications, but I'm going to take my omeprazole for my heartburn and my 2 other medications that I'm trying out here, Montelukast and the other one for the sinuses. And while I do that, here's a music song that we can be listening to. It's 4 minutes and a half long.
thing they call divine, when all the stars will smile for me, when all is well and will is all for all, and forever after. Maybe in the meantime, wait and see. Love beyond you. Where lands are green and skies are blue. But all in all, we're just like you. Love beyond you. When I cry for me, I cry for you. The tears of holy joy, for all the days you've still to come. And if I ever say I'd never play or fly toward the sun, maybe in the meantime something song. Love beyond you. Where lands are green and skies are blue. When all in all it's just like you. We love beyond you. That sound fine, so I see a slow time. Give my love to the future, I'm a showing time. Okay, okay, that's not okay. While it's on my mind, is it good if it's a crime for a future love dream that I'm still to find? But in the meantime, love beyond you. Where lands are green and skies are blue. But all in all, it's just like you. Love beyond you. Love beyond you. Lands are green and skies are blue. Just like you. 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 Just like
That was that Space Hard right there with little, you got a little reverb there from my speakers there. You see, but now I think I fixed it so that there's no like echo. Maybe there is. I don't know. I have to check the afterwards. All right. So little top of the hour business. Check out the Twitter. Check out the. Facebook, I guess. Check out the YouTube, which we're on. There's a Patreon if you like to give money to people.
There's a PayPal.
And you can just send checks in the mail. So check the PO box below. Top of the hour. Also, let's holy shit, let's take a minute for the Kurds, eh?
Yeah.
The Kurds and whatever's going on in Hong Kong. Like, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. It's what I say, and
we stand with you.
no, I don't. Like that's the point. Is they're dying and I'm not dying. Like I'm not involved. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
The poor Kurds. And who called this? Right? Everyone, everywhere saw this one coming. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I will confess that I voted for Obama and I wanted him to end all of these conflicts, and then when he didn't, and I was like, why? And it's like, well, the Kurds. Like, what do we do about abandoning the people that we made promises to in those areas? And it's like, okay, I guess. And then it's like, oh, well, yeah, we're just gonna pull out, and then they're all gonna die as if they shouldn't have been there to begin with. And so, I think they are all dead now, is what happened. Is the Kurdish genocide might have happened while we just sort of, tweet about other stuff. So, what the fuck, a little bit of that. And,
Yeah.
but I guess that's
Fuck.
political and not religious, so, sorry for bringing that shit up.
It is religious. Is
it?
It's religious cleansing.
I mean, ethnicity is not religion, so, I don't know, man. And so this idea that, like, every ethnicity needs a state, and if you don't have a state, you're not a real ethnicity, I think we really need to rethink some of those ideas. I think they're stinky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. That's just a sort of an aside, because I don't know what the fuck that shit is. I don't understand it at all. Yeah. So we done the top of the hour. I took my medicines. Take a check right there. Otherwise, I forget. Like, in the daytime, I'm like, shit, did I take my prescription medications yet?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have one of those cool old person boxes there. I suppose I have to get one where they keep all the medications.
Yeah, every Sunday they fill it up for the week.
That's right. It's my Sunday ritual. And when I do them, they're rituals. Sorry. Sorry about that, Pastafarians. I sometimes cannot help myself. We were talking about Bill Barr yesterday. I still can't stop thinking about that fucking dude.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that that was just less than 48 hours ago that he said this shit. Like, that's not like a thing we dug up from the ancient past and was like, wait,
Yeah.
Bill Barr once went to this very religious thing. No, while he was the fucking guy, the Attorney General, he said this shit. While he was the Attorney General, he said this to Notre Dame. It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's scary. It's
Um,
gross.
It's very indicative
So
that
many things.
it is much worse than sort of it feels like, right? Like that idea of like the lines are going up and everything's getting better is like, yeah, makes me feel like things are working. But then I look at it and it's like, maybe it's just made to make me feel like things are working, right? Like the TSA, right?
Uh-huh.
So, I'd rather not. I'd rather know things aren't working and feel like things aren't working than just pretend they are, right?
Yeah.
Which reminds me of another thing that I thought. Here's another thought that I thinked in the recent past. You guys read that book by George Orwell, 1984. He talks about how language sort of limits your ability to think of things, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the point in calling it 12,019. That's why I call it the era of our conversation, is to point out that that is the progress, is that the language is becoming more complicated, and so we're able to think new things.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, in this book, he talks about thought crime, where you recognize in your mind that thinking that thing has been a crime against the state, right? Where the seditious thoughts are not a right and a privilege, but actually that is the line of criminality.
Mm-hmm.
And so they intentionally in front of everybody sort of circumcised the language so that you can't have those thoughts, and they called it Crime Stop. Is the sort of word they used for it, and it was in the past in the book. We're looking at the book from this dude's point of view, and he's sort of thinking about the way things had happened before.
Okay.
And so there was this effort called Crime Stop, and what that basically is but it's thought crime stop, right? So limit the language so that you can't think the thing, and do it voluntarily, and it's not right abusive, and so that's a thing, So this idea of it's your duty to stop the bad thoughts, right? It's here's the tools you should use so that you don't have those thoughts anymore. It's very an interesting idea that definitely did not come to pass. He was not prophetic in that. We don't do that at all.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet, she says. So I'm drinking here a very cherry cola, which is what I generally have. You're describing politically correct culture, says the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster of Latter-day Pirates. You know, I think that could be correct. The problem is that so we're watching this. There's a couple post-Mormons here in the chat here, so I'll let you know. I'm doing this project with a friend of mine where we do like a mystery science theater take on Johnny Lingo. So there's some behind the scenes. We're working on that. That's going to be coming out in like a couple weeks here. So keep your eyes out for that. But the subtitle of Johnny Lingo is building self-worth in others. Is the subtitle. When Johnny Lingo comes up, those words are also there. And so Johnny Lingo, for those who are not post-Mormon, it was a video put out by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the sort of 60s, right, when they were converting a lot of people in Polynesia, and they had this school they were setting up in Hawaii, and so they were really selling Hawaii and Polynesia to the members. And so they did this, they filmed out there right in the like Lost Valley, you know, in the Valley of Lost, where they're always walking up and down, and it looks amazing. They're right in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they filmed a little sort of fable parable about a man courting his wife, but it's an old sort of culture that barters with cows for a wife.
The men.
Yeah.
The fathers and the would-be husbands barter.
Right. You know, we've all heard of this thing, and it's a fictionalized Polynesia. It's not trying to represent real sort of Tonga or anything. And so, but the point of this is that they're trying to sort of help people feel good about themselves and be like, your worth isn't tied into how much other people say you're worth. You know, it's like, that's a silly way to think of it. But then they just sort of reinforce it. They just blindly and accidentally reinforce that thing that they're trying to do. They work against themselves just over and over and over. Like, there's a white guy there to observe it all, because without him, it really isn't going to connect with your white Utah audience, right? And so, and then it really is a barter for the wife with like cows and being like, instead of the guy being like, she's not worth cows, I'm going to marry her for love or something like that. It's like, no, I will pay twice as much cows for her because she's worth twice as much as your bitches. And like, it really has good intentions, eh? Even if we give it that these people are kind people with good intentions, it just works against itself every step of the way and just fucks itself up and ends up doing the exact opposite of the thing that it's trying to say right on the screen, which is building self-worth in others. Mm-hmm. They don't. Over and over they say that your worth is determined by those people above you in the pyramid. And so it's
and they have an ability to make people feel better by being generous to them. If they the higher pyramid, if they take their time and pay attention to the lower rungs and like build up their self-esteem, that's how you fix it. It's still by the patriarchs fixing the females.
That's right.
Not only is it being bartered.
Worth is not a self thing. It's the machine has to give it to them.
The machine has to do it, yeah.
Right. And so
it's still taking tools away from people.
Right. It's putting them in their place instead of they give them their self-worth by recognizing where you are on the pyramid. You're only third, and Jesus is at the top. You know, it's great.
Yeah.
And you're only third in the pyramid, and so that's great. At least you're not ninth, right? Like, there's where your self-worth is, and it's like, no, that's a relative. That's a relative worth. It's not a
right.
Just a worth in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like, you guys don't know how to do that.
Well, yeah. Also, like, the moral of Johnny Lingo was, the guy was like, I told her she's worth more than she thought she was.
Right.
So it's dependent on me telling her,
letting her know from outside, you're undervaluing yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the point. Is cool. That's not doing it. That your good intentions and your put through this lens just turns it backwards and cannot be trusted. And, I mean, that's why satire is so communicative. Because the point of satire is to take... Because 1984 is satire, right? It's science fiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be called science fiction, could be called satire.
But it's looking at the current...
Animal Farm is definitely satire.
Yeah.
You take what's going on and then you just sort of take it
Mm-hmm.
just wherever, right? You just go with it in the imagination, and then you're like, and here's the flaws at the extreme end, right? I get over here and it's just stupid, right? Like Logan's Run, right? All of these apocalypse or dystopian science fiction things are satirical in nature, in that, and it's like, well, what would happen if this sort of group of kids who want to just fuck each other and take drugs gets control? Then what will happen? This will look like this. It's terrible. We satirize each other. It's very communicative. And so it's not easy to see that, or it's not hard to see, if you accept the criticism, that cool, but 3 steps of this turns you all the way around, right? Like, you're not taking us to a better place, you're turning us around. You just don't know it, right? You're like, we just need to turn 90 degrees and then 90 degrees and we'll be going the right way. And it's like, whoa, that's all the way around. So they don't realize that saying "Make America Great Again" is saying let's move into the past.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's take back what we've given, quote unquote, right? Like we let the normies let the weirdos have rights, and then the weirdos didn't thank the normies, so let's take them back for a little bit just so that they remember how nice we are, right? And it's like, so I was talking to my friend about colonialism. Apparently yesterday was a day where we celebrate how we Christopher Columbus found this place, right? And so some people are being like, well, Christopher Columbus wasn't a great guy if you met him. You'd be like, well, that's questionable, right? And secondly, he was carrying a very, very destructive idea of Christianity, which was, our God lets us look at other people like they're not people. Because they just don't, if God cared about them, he would have told them about him. And obviously he didn't.
They would be as advanced as we are in learning.
In Christianity.
And in smartness and in civilization.
Well,
They
whatever
tie
they
that all
measured, that's
together.
the point is they measured it, they were measuring it from their point of view. We don't
Yeah.
know relatively how civilized these people were. They would look like they had savage gods. They were treated like savages. We didn't look at their architecture like it took fucking centuries to develop like ours did, right? We didn't look at their warlords like we were looking at Henry VIII.
Yeah.
The people who created new religions out there, we didn't fucking give a shit about who they were. We just erased their stories instead of came to terms with reality. And then, by the way, our fucking kids were like, I can imagine the stories of the Nephites, and wrote it down, and then the fucking Mormons went and told them that this is your story. I know, because a white kid thought it up in New York. So, yeah.
Again and again.
Yeah, so the point is, this idea of, like, advanced civilization is nonsense, because you can say that it's the Christian values that cause humanity to be viral instead of sustainable, right? It is this Christian conquest idea, this sort of outbreed everyone and no conception, and God loves babies, and then he's going to burn it at the end, so we don't really care what kind of state we leave it in. Like, this is a very Christian, Judeo-Christian idea. This thing has an end date, and it's soon. That's a Judeo-Christian value. So when Bill Barr says, who's got better progressive, this fucking, let's pretend that this world is going to last for another 1 billion years, and let's fingers crossed hope it's good enough for human habitation that whole time.
Yeah.
Let's fucking try to keep it there, right in the fucking warm spot. So, but no.
And the progression is there. He's just blind to it.
Right, he came
Self.
out being like, they don't have answers to this. Here's the meeting. Come to the meeting, we'll tell you the answers. What moral system is better than that? Practically everyone, dude. Give me a fucking break here.
Yep.
Good God. Fucking blood sacrifice is really what you're building your whole moral code on? That's a very savage and pagan idea.
What was your friend saying about, what was it, colonialism?
Colonialism, yeah. So the thing,
Easy word to say.
yeah. So we were talking about that, and the colonialism idea, because you just did it. Is my point? Is it happens in the language is colonialized. We were talking about, and the point that he made was, when you use the word like exotic, this person looks exotic. That's in the language, and it implies a normal, and it implies an other, right? And that's the whole point, is no one really can think of themselves as normal. It's really a stupid thing to think. Christians think of themselves as normal because 1/3 of the world is Christian in their point of view. And it's like, cool. 2/3 aren't, that's normal. See? It's normal to not be, you see? And they're like, no, we're the biggest, so we're normal. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, most people speak English. And it's like, cool. Most people don't speak English. See? It's normal to not. And so our language... So, like, someone came up to Rashida Jones, who is the daughter of Quincy Jones, the legendary producer of the best Michael Jackson music. So if we're like, okay, I can't handle, just as an aside, if we're like, I cannot handle that Michael Jackson is a mess, but made good music, you can be like, cool, he didn't make good music, Quincy Jones did. And then you can sort of walk on with your life if you're having a problem with that. But anyway, Quincy Jones' daughter, Rashida Jones, was being interviewed by someone, and like they asked this question, and about like race or something, ethnicity or something, and and Rashida Jones goes, "Well, I am ethnic," and it's like, you know, she was making fun of the the reporter, but that idea of ethnic is like, cool, white is an ethnicity, white is ethnic, right? Whereas, like, no, European Judeo-Christians use the word ethnic to mean non-white. And it's like, no, everything is ethnic. It's stupid the way the language is colonizing other cultures with whiteness. Calling whiteness and Europeanness civilized and not exotic, right? Like it's super exotic,
non-savage,
right? Yeah, calling the other people the heathens, and it's like, okay, you're the blood cultists, right?
Yeah.
So
It's gotten you so far.
yeah, so you know, I think we could have had these ideas if we stayed in Europe, you know, and it's really bizarre that we Americans celebrate our escape from Europe and are starting over on virgin territory where nobody lived after we killed them. And we finally got it right. And like, cool, well...
Nope.
Yeah, first of all, you didn't get it right.
You didn't even notice.
Secondly, you can't do that back in your hometown, and then when other people are like, I can't do it back in my hometown, you're like, well, you can't fucking come here, bitches! Fucking, we're full! We're full! America's full! What in the fucking hell?
Yeah.
Like, what day did it fill up? Could you please tell me?
So crazy.
Oh,
Hypocritical.
obscene. Obscenities!
Yeah.
But, sorry to get political again, Pastafarians. Let me check for questions. Are there questions? In the spirit, let the spirit prompt you. That's from a while ago. We truly are in the strangest timeline. It really could be. It really could be. Do pardon me. Pardon me. I don't know if you watch Community, but there is one of those episodes about switching between time streams and things like that. Because I think the strangest timeline would be the one where the Berenstain Bears authors like did something worthy of time travel. I think that was probably really strange. Probably where the Sinbad movie, Shazam or whatever, was made. I think that was the strangest timeline. I bet, because, like, we have refugees from that timeline. I bet it was really fucking strange over there. Respect my manifest destiny. Yeah, I believe that there is it says Filthy Films. I believe there's an idea in American culture, or pre-American culture, or no, it's American culture, right? Where we were advancing the border of our nation from about 100 miles from the coast to the other coast, and all the nations in the in-between could just go get fucked. Because obviously that was America before America even got there, and you guys need to move the fuck on. So here's my understanding of the Kurdish situation. All right, there's this area where 3 countries meet, and in that area there's a group of people who live in that area alone, and ethnically they're Kurdish, and all 3 of the countries call them not part of their country. So, and none of them are trying to give up any sort of space for these Kurds to have their own country. Because these other countries are saying, we're this country, and those Kurds are not this, so they're not in our country. So they gotta get out. And then, they've got nowhere to go, and so every country is coming in right now with their weapons and saying, get the fuck out! And if they don't, they die. And so I think they're just all going to die right now. And if I'm wrong about that, geez, I'm sorry. I guess I should have read another book. But if that's exactly what's happening, and America is totally involved in that, because
responsible.
Okay, could be. You know what? Maybe we've got space enough in America for a Kurdish state, eh? Is my idea? Wouldn't that be a fun idea? Because, you know, if America's got a manifest destiny, don't the Kurds have a manifest destiny? Don't they get a nation? If we're going to play the game of nations, if we're going to be all nationalists, and we're going to be like, I'm going to make a nation on the color of skin, and I'm going to make a nation on which god we worship, and I'm going to make a nation on which football team is the best, you know, then doesn't everyone who wants to make a nation get some land, right? So if the Kurds want to make a nation on their racial identity, why is that any better than this is any worse than the sort of people who are descendant from the ancient Hebrews who say our book says we get to move back here eventually? Oh, okay. After World War II, right? If you win World War II, then the Jews get to return home after hundreds of years of someone else living there, and those people got to fuck off. You hear that, NSA? Shh, guys.
Speaking of...
The NSA's listening. You gotta be quiet. Let me look at my notes here. Let's talk about other stuff. Free thought and peer review. So, Bill Barr's like, so what works then? It's like, what works better than yours? Free thought. Like, allowing people to think freely and then to review their ideas with their peers. Out loud, in fun and constructive ways. Yeah. Where, sort of, failed ideas aren't, jailed, as it were, you know? I'm looking for a cup for some reason. I have no idea why that was happening. Alright, I've got more songs to listen to than I have slots to listen to them in. So I'm just going to create a song slot right here, and we're going to listen to this right now. See you in 3.5 minutes.
Say, oh,
Yes. With Mats. That's what we got right there. Check. Let me flip up my things so that my right things are in the way so that I can see the thing bouncing up and down, going boing, boing, boing as I talk. Alright, looks like we don't have any non-Pastafarians here to ask us questions about what it means to be a Pastafarian and how we can justify what we're doing and how dare we and who do we think we are, stuff like that. So no really outside questions to answer today, it seems. Although I did get another message last night from Country City, so he keeps in touch. He was talking about Lonnie Mathern and Easy Street Preacher and how they're gonna team up against me and call me names and call me out for what I really am. And so, you know, I haven't heard from Lonnie Mathern since the hotel next to where he preaches a lot fell down. So, you know, I still got my fingers crossed that he's fine. But, you know, I assume he was because it was a Monday. But, you know, he preaches a lot. But the Hard Rock Hotel fell down right next door, right across the street. We can kind of, I think we can see it in his videos, right across the street from the Sanger, where he loves to go tell people that rock music will send them to hell. But yeah, you know, I hope Lonnie Mathern's alright, so that he can expose me for what I really am, like Country City says. Here's a note that I have. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday in the writer's room, because like I said, we're working on this project. And, so, there's this idea of, like, Princess Bride. Have you guys seen The Princess Bride? Because Mormons love this movie. Like, ever since it came out, it's been, like, the Mormon, sort of fable, modern fairy tale, as it were. To quote my fanatical Mormon biological mother, how dare we mock God? Yeah, that's right. How dare we do that? Who do you think you are? What gives you the right to criticize the prophets? I'm a prophet. That's what gives me the right.
We all are.
I'm also a prophet, and so I can be like, these guys are a bad prophet. That's what gives me the right. I'm a child of the flying spaghetti monster. Mm-hmm. It's like everybody is.
Yeah.
So Mormons love fucking
Princess Bride.
The Princess Bride. Love it. And then just recently people were like, well, we own the rights to Princess Bride and it's sort of next in line for the remakes. And everyone like, I'll fucking murder you if you do that. Like, they literally said, I will come to your house, I'll make sure everything you love dies right in front of you, before you. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. And I think that the people who are saying it are correct, in that they're saying, I cannot handle a remake of this. The remake of this will ruin the original one for me. And I think that they're correct. Because I think the point is, the Disney company, who probably owns it, right, and we would be redoing it, they've moved on since the 60s. A while ago, they did stuff. They were run in the beginning by a man who I hear was incredibly racist. I hear that Walt Disney had a problem, as it were. Mm. But maybe not. Maybe he's just a sort of guy that, you know, ahead of his time, fine upstanding. But I think he was just sort of one of the weirdos in a time where there were a lot of them, right? And so their company has changed over time. For example, you know, all of their actors used to be white Southern Californians, right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, when they did the Lord of the Rings, when they did the Lion King, right? Like, the voice of old Simba was Ferris Bueller. Is that correct? And the voice of young Simba was that kid from Tool Time, right? Uh-huh. So now, Childish Gambino is Simba, right? So you see how the Walt Disney Company has sort of have sort of changed the way they do things since then, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you can say, well, the Walt Disney Company only does that because it's profitable now, that the people have said, oh, we want this from you. And like, cool, maybe that's how it works, maybe that's how long it takes, and sure, if they're doing it for financial reasons that work, fine, whatever. But still they've moved, right? And so, I think the point is the people who would be making The Princess Bride have moved in the way that they would do it. And so it would come out, everyone would have to, like, sort of put on the table what they loved about this Princess Bride. They'd have to be like, this is what I like. And then you're going to have to go back and be like, oh, and I haven't changed on that since the 80s. I have not made any progress on this idea since the last time we had this discussion. I really expected this one to come out exactly the same, feel exactly the same way, and like do exactly the same mistakes, because I didn't know there were any, right? I thought this thing was perfect. I've never criticized The Princess Bride, and so you're going to make me, right? I'm going to have to figure out what I like about it, and it will turn out what I like about it is how racist it is, right? How sexist it is. It's so old and crusty and comfortable. It's a place that I've never changed in so long, right? That's the point, is we want that Christmas from when we were kids. We want the Christmas from before we were kids. We want the fucking 1950s Christmas, right? And it's like, yeah, but that fucking feeling of comfort that you have of staying in the past, right? That's a bad part of you.
Yeah.
That's motivates you to do bad things.
There's probably some blinders there that you're
Right.
ignoring, some really bad values.
Right. And
that
so
are harming your life and harming the people you love.
Right. And so the people who are like, do not remake The Princess Bride, I mean, there's a lot of them in there then. Isn't that right? Mm-hmm. But also, I mean, you cannot do better than the fucking Six-Fingered Man, though, right? There's no better performance on film. I just sucked 1 year of your life away. It's amazing, right? And it's that's the guy who says,
how do you feel?
Yeah.
And this is, remember, for prosperity.
So, be honest. That's the guy who says, I want to turn it up to 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, same guy. It's amazing. It is a miracle. But it's a miracle of acting, that moment. That whole performance is. And not just that one. Not just that one. It has Andre the Giant in it forever. Inigo Montoya is amazing. The fucking Man in Black is just a fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Buttercup is timeless and beautiful and just the best. And her dreams are so wonderful, right? Like, it's an amazing movie. I love that movie, right? But I think looking at that through a different lens would shatter the idea for everyone that's holding on to it, and we don't want to know why we're holding on to it. It's probably these very childish ideas, So I think everyone was right for being like, please don't make me, not yet, not right now. But there is the book, it already is there. Like, there is another version of that you could be like, oh, I hate the book. And I do. I think the book is garbage compared to the movie. Oh my gosh.
Have you read the book?
I have, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I've read it a couple times, in fact, to be like, surely I'm overjudging this. And it's like, no, what the fuck is this book about? What the fuck is this book about? Why is he in it? Why is he talking about his fat son? Like, I really don't understand the rest of this fucking book. Why is it here at all? At all.
That's funny.
Why is he all like, just so you remember, I'm the guy that wrote the screenplay to that fucking movie. Like, the book is about how he's in Hollywood, selling the script or adapting the script of Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid to film. And he's in LA, and he's from New York, and he's trying to find the book for his kid. Right? You know this?
No.
This is the book.
That's hilarious. I read it. It's just so unrememberable in my brain.
I know. So what the fuck is it doing in there?
Yeah.
It's fucking garbage. He fucking hates his life. It seems he like contemplates cheating on his wife and stuff, and he's all like, "I'm a cool guy out there here in Hollywood. I'm rad." And then like the conclusion of that is like weird. I just don't think it's ever concluded. I don't think it's a story. I think it's this framing, because you got that framing bit with the sick kid, right? And fucking what's his name, and that's just fucking perfect. Because they're like, there's this thing about this guy going to LA and he's in a pool and there's a pretty girl and he's talking to his wife on the phone and Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, and he calls his kid fat. And he's like, I gotta find this book for my kid, otherwise he'll never love me. It's really weird. And it's like we'll just get rid of all that. And we'll have Peter Falk come in here with Kevin Arnold. Is that his name?
No, I think it was last name Savage.
Well, Fred Savage plays Kevin Arnold on
I
The
see,
Wonder
I see.
Years, and they'll just riff it. You be sick, and you be telling him the story. And I'm like, okay, I bet that whole thing was improvised. No, I bet it was written. But yeah. No, I think they should remake it. I think they should. I think we should see. I think that's the point. Is every generation gets to retell the fairy tales, because that's how it worked. Is every generation held it in their mind and passed it forward, and so keep doing that. You get to filter every story through your mind. You get to say, here is Cinderella according to me. And so I think that I think that Rob Reiner, who is the director of that film, correct?
I think so.
The film in question that we have been in questioning. He is not in my generation, and neither is he in the generation that would actually be filming and making the movie, who is younger than me, because I've just turned 41. And I think that all of the directors and actors are going to be in their 30s, right, for the remake of
As it should be, the next.
right? Yeah, because my generation is like like my generation has a voice. It's like the Matrix movies and Wes Anderson, right? That's my generation. Who are we? We're the Zennials, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the sort of sub-generations, the sort of, generation without a group of people without a generation, like the Kurds of the generations, as it were. No, I guess we can't really joke about the Kurds yet. No joking about the Kurds. I'm getting the flag that we're not going to be making any jokes involving the Kurds. No metaphors about Kurds at all for a little bit, I think is what we're trying to say. Okay, understood. That does make sense. I understand the reason for that. The Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster of Latter-day Pirates is calling me a dumb twat. Well, that's
I
okay.
think he's calling CC.
Oh, okay.
But maybe you.
Maybe. I think it's me. Alright, Pastafarian. So, Tuesday show. Radio show. I do about an hour, waiting for some people to show up. I mean, you people have shown up, and it's been very nice, and you are very supportive, and I am very glad of that. And I like to talk shit to you all day long, and it's fun to do, so I'll be back tomorrow to do it for another hour, and hopefully our faithful friends can come in with their bad and false beliefs and be like, well, who cares, though, if Jesus lied? Even if he did lie maybe a little bit, I still am going to worship him because you can't prove that it's evil. Something like that. Like, yeah, sure we can. Hopefully tomorrow, some people will come, I've been hoping that these Christians will bring their best arguments here so that we can have the conversations that they are, unable to have. Like, if I could sit down with you, I could prove it to you. Like, I don't want to make fun of people, but friends of mine have parents who say things that I would really like them to, back up. Be like, if I had to, I could prove that it's the truest church of all time. Like, you do have to. Why are you doing anything other than that? What is the purpose? Purpose of doing anything other than proving the one true church, religion? Like, is it really more valuable to the human race? If you can prove it, and you can push record on an audio device, and you don't, I mean, I think it's because you know you can't. Anyway, you can come here and try it. But not today, because today's show is over. 1 hour of waiting around for the Christians to show up with their hardest hitting questions, and then just talk shit while they don't show up. Just talk some garbage and try not to be too political or offensive in the comedy. I was referring to my crazy mom, says the Church of Flying Speed. Oh yeah, sure. I'll revisit the sort of tape here and see when you say it. Probably when I'm talking about some crazy shit. No, that's fine. No, I'm joking, of course. So, but I do have one last song, and we've got, like, if I'm looking here, we've been filming for 1 hour and 13 seconds, and that is over the line. That is over the fucking line, you motherfuckers. We're gonna get in trouble for this. Another FCC violation on the way. NSA always reports us, listening all the time, reports us right away. Gonna get on there with YouTube and be like, hey, make them stop it! But they cannot stop our Friday shows because we don't listen to copyrighted music. Yeah, we just instead invoke the one and true creator of this reality, the Flying Spaghetti Monster. And then when we do that, you'll feel his warm and noodly appendages in your heart, and you'll realize, holy shit, that fucking crazy guy on the internet knows what he's talking about! I felt it as well. It must be true. He must be a prophet. So, yeah, I am. I have felt it. I know that I'm a prophet. I know that you're a prophet. So why don't you get your shit peer-reviewed, eh? So, have your free thoughts. Write them down. Don't think about, like, shutting down your thought crime because, no, man, have some weird thoughts. Let us know, right? Especially if you're like, oh, I want to kill everybody. Like, oh, okay, well, let's talk about that. Is that really how we're going to solve the problems that would solve, right? Is that really the best way to do that? Instead of, it's a crime and going to jail, it's a crime, here, use this so that you don't even think those thoughts anymore. No, I think that's repression. I think that comes out sideways, uncontrolled, and chaotic, and sideways, and very dangerous. So, let's face that shit head on, let's fucking solve the problems. True religion would encourage us to do it, encourage us to see reality for what it is, get in touch with truth, and now, and love, and harmony, and I love you all, Pastafarians. Thank you so very much, and we will see you tomorrow as we continue to Challenge the myth believers to prove it. Bye. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye.
Like a swan, grace on the water, lips like sugar, lips like sugar. Just when you think you've caught her, she glides across the water. She calls